Okay, so this is day 7 of the worksheet. First, we have given the graph, write the sine and cosine functions first. So to write for this graph the sine function, this is the formula. So we have y equals, so first we have to find this a, which is like the, the amplitude here. So it's like, so we have this full hue and then we have to divide it in two. So we have 6 and then we have to divide it by 2 to get 3. So that would be the, so it's -6 here, as you can see, like from here to here, and then divide by 2 to get the -3, so it would be -3. We have the sine and cosine function, so the sine cosine here. We get half by doing this, like the period, the frequency and stuff. So we have the equation p equals 2 pi over b. So we put 4 pi equals 2 pi over b. We got the 4 pi by doing like from here to here is 4 pi. So from -2 pi to 2 pi, the difference is 4 pi. So we have this here, and we have to solve for b. So we get b equals half, and so that would be the b here. So we have half here and half here, parentheses x, and then here this is where the difference is between the sine and cosine function. So we get 3 pi over 4 by doing, so first we go to for the sine. So this if it was a sine function, this would be the graph, and so the coordinate would be pi -5. But since in this equation, this graph, it's pi over 4 and -5, we just subtract the difference. So we have pi here, pi minus pi over 4, which is this, and then we get we simplify, or we do the common denominator, and then we simplify to 3 pi over 4. So we would just add 3 pi over 4 from here to get this graph. So that's why there's a 3 pi over 4. But for the cosine function, we have -pi over 4. That is because if it was a cosine function, this would be the graph here. Sorry, I can't. So this would be the graph here. If it was a cosine, so it would be 0, -5. But for this function, it is pi over 4, -5. So we would just do the difference again. And to get from here to here, we would do the opposite. I mean, we would add pi over 4, but since it's inside the parentheses, we would do the opposite and do -pi over 4. And then the -2 is the midline of this amplitude here. So, 6, 3, and then it would be -2 would be the midline. So that's our full function, both sine and cosine. The next, given the graph, write the tangent and cotangent functions. So first so again, this is the equation right here. And then for tan, really it's generally a tan bx plus d. Okay, so first for the tan, we do the same. We get like y equals tan, which is here, and then to find the b, which is 3, we do this. So as you can see, this is like where the kind of like the asymptote is for this function, both pi over 6 and -pi over 6. So we have here and here, so we get pi over 6 minus this other kind of asymptote here, which is -pi over 6. And then we do that other function over here, so it would be adding, and then we get 2 pi over 6. And we have to equal that into that previous equation that we also used, which is pi over b. We would solve for b in order to get our b value here in the equation, and then we have pi over 3 equals pi over b, and then b would just be 3. So that's a y tan 3x. And then the 2, what we did was that this is the y-intercept. So usually the parent function would, like as you can see, the y-intercept would be 0, 0, but in here it's 0, 2. So we just add 2 to get that equation. So that was the tangent function. Now for the cotangent function, what we do is we put y equals, we can see that this would be a reflected cotangent because this is the end behavior that it has. So in order to make it this way, rather than this way, we would put a negative sign. So we have the negative cotangent, and then we got 3x based on the same way we got this, which is right over here, and then we got the minus pi over 2 by doing this over here. So as you can see, like the pi over 6 is the for this function, and then we get c over 3 because that's our for our phase shift. This is the equation, c over b, and then we already found b, which is 3, so we get pi over 6 equals c over 3. We would solve for this equation and we would get c equals pi over 2. And since this is within the parentheses, we would do the opposite. So we would subtract negative pi squared. And then the same thing for plus 2. We have a shift up 2. So this is the tangent and cotangent for this graph. Next is the secant and cosecant functions. So again, we have our equation. I just put this here, but this is the p equals 2 pi over b to find the b of the equation. So first we have y equals the 2. We get that from, again, this difference between here. So from 0, 1 and 0, negative 3. So we can see that this is where the equation is, or the space is, and we would divide this by 2 to get 2 to get our a value. So in the secant and cosecant, we put secant, cosecant. Then we have our parentheses. We get half by doing the, what we did was, we did the, so we take the pi over 3, which is right here, pi over 3, 1, and we did negative 11 over 3, because this is right here, so from here to here. We take that, we subtract it, and then we get 2 pi over 3. And we make that equal to 2 pi b equals 6 pi because of this equation. And we get that b equals half, so that's where we got the half from. Then parentheses x. For the secant, we get negative pi over 3. That is from the so since this is pi over 3, we have 0, 1, pi over 3, 1, and then pi 0, 1. So we got that difference is to get from here to here, we would go to the right pi over 3, but since it's within the parentheses, we do the opposite, so negative pi over 3. And then a negative 1 is from this midline here. So before, to get this 2 over here, we did the difference between here and divide in half, but here we just look at the actual coordinate, which should be negative 1, and so that's what we have. So for the secant and cosecant, it's basically the same except for everything except for, of course, the secant and cosecant here, but also the negative pi 3 over 3 and the 2 pi over 3. We got this 2 pi over 3 by doing the same thing we did for the other one. We just did, so we take the pi, we take pi here, we take the negative pi over 3, which is here, and then we subtract it, we find the difference. Oh yeah, by the way, we did the pi because these are the equations, so this would be the secant function, this would be the cosecant function. So from here to here, we did this difference based on the actual cosecant functions. We did pi minus pi over 3, we find the difference, and then we got 2 pi over 3. And so since we would do the left 2 pi over 3, we would just add 2 pi over 3 to get the cosecant function. And the -1 and -1 are all the same. So this is the secant function, and this is the cosecant function. And that is it for day 7.